There's a bunch of them right there. Check them out. Big flock. It just gets you excited, man, coming into these bays, seeing the birds flying. You know, up here in Alaska, we hunt a lot of deltas, marshes, and things like that. You know, sea duck hunting, for example. In the lower 48, they might be hunting flooded timber. They might be hunting flooded cornfields, you know, fields, and other types of environment like that. It's a beautiful day, man. When up here, we're hunting mostly brackish water, which is seawater and saltwater mixed type marshes and deltas.
I'm gonna go ahead and walk this up.
The strategy is usually a little different when you're placing your decoys and you're setting things up versus, you know, in the lower 48 where it might be a blind or a permanent blind or something like that that's already established, and you simply go out to that location and hunt your waterfowl. This was a project where I worked a deal with my daughters and told them I'd pay them $5 if they'd paint a decoy. Turned out pretty good. It's pretty awesome for a $5 job for a 10-year-old.
Your daughter did it?
Yeah.
Cool. No, that'll work.
They look great, man.
Yeah, that'll work good.
I think they'll work great. I got 2 of them. Those 2 and your 2, I think we're good on Harleys. Oh, you can hear that whistling sound. Love it. Typically when we go to pull up to these bays and I get up front here and we start, you know, dropping the decoys out into the water, you know, we get a lot of birds that are already flying over. You know, excitement gets high, adrenaline gets to pumping. We have to control ourselves at times and realize that, look, let's just take our time. Let's set these decoys out, and then we'll go anchor the boat and set up and bring the dinghy in, and we'll have a great shoot. We got in, we got set up. You know, we set up probably 20 to 30 goldeneye decoys on long lines. That's all the white we need.
Yeah, I think so. Once they come around the corner, they will commit.
They hadn't been shot at, they hadn't been hunted. There's no pressure. They're gonna do exactly what we want them to do. But just to be able to sit back and take the setting in, take the mountains in the backdrop in, and enjoy the scenery, I think to most of us, that is what it's all about. The strategy that we had was to set up at the mouth of the bay, and the mouth of the bay there, the birds transition to a resting area and a feeding area versus going out to a more of a roosting type area in the evening. So we caught them in that transition phase when they were coming in to feed. We happened to set up right at the mouth of the bay. A single Harley out there looks good, the decoy does. The other ones are moving really good though with the wind, the current.
Yeah, the currents are starting to pick up good now.
Besides being the place to go sea duck hunting, Alaska plays an extremely important role in the waterfowl population nationwide.
Alaska has a wide variety of waterfowl. We experience a lot of the same birds they do in the lower 48. We have the mallards, the widgeon, the pintail, the blue-winged teal, the gadwall, the green-winged teal. Most of your species that inhabit the Pacific flyway, which incorporates all starts here in Alaska. Alaska is a huge waterfowl wetland area up here, which raises millions of broads every year. Minto Flats, which is probably one of the largest waterfowl refuge areas in Alaska up north near Fairbanks, is probably responsible for producing over 1 million birds a year. When those birds migrate through this region, They have a tendency to split off into two different flyways before they leave Alaska. Some of them come down through the Anchorage area. Some of them head further east over around Delta Junction.
See the fetch.
Good shot, Randy.
And we see a large variety of waterfowl, that move through here, and probably the end of September to the first 2 weeks of October.
Here comes two at you right here, Matt, straight out the front. It's Drake on the bottom. Go ahead, Randy. Take it, Matt, in the back.
Typically we're shooting goldeneyes, a few scoters, surf scoters, common scoters. We might have the opportunity to get a white-winged scooter, but your harlequins are gonna be, they're gonna come in a little bit later. They're gonna hang up a little bit further out on the spread. I think on this day we had 2 hand-painted harlequin decoys that we had set up on the left side of the spread, and that's where your harlequins are gonna key in.
Harlequins are one of the more sought-after sea ducks of the North American species, largely due to their incredible colorful plumage. They're also one of the harder species to get because they tend to decoy on the outer edge of the decoy spread, further away from the shore. The guys are hopeful to take some harlequin today, but for now, it's mainly goldeneye on the menu.
Oh, right there, Matt, right there. Take it. Dead bird, back. Over on your right, Matt. Over on your right.
No, drop it. Good girl.
In Alaska, dogs are key to waterfowl hunting here in Alaska because you're either walking a lot of the muskeg type environments and things like that. If you have a very well trained dog, or even if you have a dog that's not to that level yet, whether it's a senior hunter or a master hunter or even a started dog, it's important to have one. It's important to, to use that tool. Skeeter, he's a beast. He gets into beast mode, and if that duck dives, he's gonna dive. I've seen him stick his whole head under the water to try to get a duck and to chase it. He does it in the grass. He will, if a bird swims up into these reeds, he will get in those reeds and he will hunt. He'll hunt hard.
Here they come, right here in front. 2 of them locked up. Go ahead, Randy. Great. Oh. Oh. But it's just a waiting game. It's better than being at work. That's for sure. The wind, when it's blowing out there, it helps a lot because it'll push them into these bays. They don't want to be sitting out there in that stuff. Once you, determine the flight path, you can pretty much set your watch to it. The birds are going to do the same thing every day.
For Hugh Clark, waterfowl hunting is more than something to do on the weekends.
We will have 2 to 3 AWA members at Cabela's.
It's a dedication and a passion that never leaves his side.
In Alaska, talking about getting the youth involved with waterfowl hunting in Alaska.
As president of the Alaskan Waterfowl Association, Hugh hopes his excitement for the AWA inspires others to become involved.
Well, Alaska Waterfowl Association, it's a local nonprofit organization dedicated to conservation, restoration projects, and working with Alaska Fish and Game, and having the opportunity to help promote waterfowl hunting here in Alaska, and at the same time take care of one of the resources that it has.
Fly!
Most of the members and most of the people that are interested in the Alaska Waterfowl Association are people like myself, people that enjoy waterfowl hunting, that come to Alaska, and they would like to know more about, what their opportunities are here in Alaska, for hunting waterfowl. Projects currently, we're working with Alaska Fish and Game on the Palmer Hay Flats here on some projects, dealing with some erosion issues that we're having out there. We're currently in the process of restoring a sea duck rockery with the Anchorage Museum of Natural Science.
It was coming right toward that pocket. You see that hole in that decoy line?
Yep.
That's what they want, man. Put 4 or 5 decoys and leave a hole. And they just want to fill that hole for some reason. It's all about being part of the flock.
Hugh's commitment to Alaska's waterfowl sustainability doesn't stop with the Alaskan Waterfowl Association. It's a commitment that carries over into his everyday life.
We're going to pick one of these up, we're going to take it in and have the biologists do a test on it and see if they can find out what's wrong with it. We've got so many murrels out here that are dead, floating in the water. Randy said he saw probably about, I don't know, probably 30 to 40 last weekend. We've got at least a dozen here laying right around us, so we're going to stop and pick one up. There we go, there's one. Don't know what's wrong with them, don't know what's happening, but as you can see, there's quite a few out here laying around.
We ended up finding out later that they were basically starving to death. There was a huge algae bloom this year, and that contributed to the death of their, of their food source, which is a small fish that inhabits those areas, and it contributed to a huge die-off. There was birds found clear up in Fairbanks. There was birds found clear down to Juneau. And inland as far as, 150 miles inland, laying on trails and, off, bike paths and stuff. So it was a huge problem this year in Alaska. And, from what I understand, they're going to go ahead and continue to monitor the mirrors and make sure that, if there's anything they can do, that they're going to, do what they can. But yeah, it was a bad deal.
It's a hen.
That's a hen, yeah. If you're coming to Alaska and you're interested in waterfowl hunting up here, make sure you do your research. That's probably one of the key things I could tell is a lot of people come up and they want to just dive into it. We get hit up all the time, and we get a lot of interest and a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls on people saying, I just got to Alaska. There's a week to duck season. I've got all my gear and I want to go. But, Alaska will kill you duck hunting just as easy it will moose hunting, sheep hunting, goat hunting, or anything like that.
Oh, she got a double!
And you've got to make sure that you've got all the safety parameters put in place, you've got logistics taken care of, and you've got your communication taken care of. Hypothermia is another big thing, even with dogs. A lot of people don't, really take that into consideration. They load up the gear, they put on 4 or 5 jackets, they get out into the truck's warm, they get to the location they're hunting in, but they don't take the time to really think about, having the proper gear, make sure that you select the proper equipment for your dog, whether it's a neoprene vest or something like that. I would not venture into Alaska without a neoprene vest on your dog, starting probably the 1st of October. Every dog that goes to waterfowl hunt should have that. Even though the dog's working hard, he's chasing down birds, there's a lot of time where he's also sitting on the front of your boat. He's sitting there waiting, in anticipation. And, it can be 20 degrees outside, that water temperature's below freezing. The dog spends 5-10 minutes trying to find a bird in the water, on a retrieve, and his body temperature's dropping. And there's been a lot of dogs in the past that we've seen that actually got hypothermia out there, and we had to bring them in, cover them with the tarp, set up a jet boil or some type of heating source to warm the dog back up.
Got a Burroughs goldeneye. Beautiful bird, just not quite full plumage yet. You can see the colors, the purples. Beautiful birds later in the year. Come late November, December, full plumage, but still a lot of fun, great opportunity. Come out and harvest some really nice birds today.
But still, no opportunities to take a harlequin, and only a couple hours left in the day to hunt. The cool thing about hunting in Alaska, a lot can happen in a couple of hours.
Man, I just don't get it, and they fly so close. That's when I like to have like 30, 40 decoys out there.
Yeah.
I think it makes a difference.
Think we need more?
I think so. I mean, that's the fewest goldeneyes we've ever set out.
Yeah, it's beautiful, you know, to be able to sit out there and, you know, you can hear the loons off in the background sometimes. You've got the sea, you know, all the sea life. You know, you're gonna see whales going out there, you're gonna see sea lions, you're gonna see sea otters, and to sit there on the shoreline and watch it all, you know, transpire there, it's pretty amazing. And to top it off, you have a great shoot.
Dead bird, back, back.
Amongst all the commotion, unbeknownst to the guys, a harlequin had snuck into the decoys.
Yep, there he goes. Yep, he's flapping.
Should we go get him with the kayak?
Yep, he's done. I'll go get him.
Oh yeah, nice. You leave that bird alone. No.
Leave it.
Cedar, no. No bird. No.
There they are. You see the colors of the chestnut running up through here. I mean, you know, when you get this big, dark, black line that comes back and the chestnut actually exceeds that, on some of them it'll stop. But when it goes back past that black line, on the wings you can see the wing. Here you'll have 2 or 3 feathers on the wing. This one actually has 3, look at that. I mean, that's a full mature bird, man. There's a lot of people don't take the time to try to preserve a bird. They'll shoot it. If the dog doesn't get it, you know, then they'll walk out and pick it up or something. Sometimes the dog will retrieve them. He'll punch holes in the breast or something like that. So what we like to do on a trophy bird like this, on a bucket list bird like this, is try to preserve it as best we can before it gets to the taxidermist. So what we'll do, Matt, if you want to put the cotton ball, just shove it down in its beak. We can place that in there, and that'll help keep the blood from coming out of the mouth and getting on the plumage. With a lot of your white, you know, your birds that have a lot of white feathers around the face or something like that, it helps just to keep it off. One of the big things that really ruins the birds is when they, you know, they put them in the freezer and it dries the feet up. They get freezer burned and they'll dry out and it's hard to hydrate the feet. Usually they'll last up to a year, sometimes 2 years. And what we like to do is place them in a piece of pantyhose or something like that, a sock or something, just to keep the feathers back a little bit more. You could tuck the head behind the wing and we'll just slide them in, and then we'll place it in a Ziploc bag. You know, it's a great technique and it helps preserve the bird before it gets to the taxidermist.
You know, when you can share the sport and share the passion, share the camaraderie among, you know, waterfowlers. I think it goes, you know, I really think it goes deeper than that. You know, you've got a lot of hunting sports in the industry, but I think your waterfowlers and your duck hunters, there's a common bond there. You know, there's a common love and a common interest that they share, and it goes deep. You know, to be able to take in the scenery, the backdrop, the awe of Alaska. You're in, you know, such an amazing place, but yet you have the opportunity to be able to still go out, enjoy it, and harvest some of the most beautiful birds that Alaska can offer. You know, North America, the harlequin, there's only 2 places you can hunt those, and that's a bucket list bird for many. And you know, that day we had the opportunity to harvest some beautiful birds, you know, some beautiful harlequin, some, you know, some very special, you know, goldeneyes that day, sharing the camaraderie of it all. You know, it makes it very special. It's been a good day.